This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. A warm welcome to Mr. Ravichandran Swaminathan. So many names, but he is the one and only soul spirit behind all cyber crime related stories, whether it is banking, crypto, or when it comes to crime. Recently, how Parliament has given an accent to a bill, Criminal Procedure or Identification Bill 2022, wherein all those individuals, innocents, will be put under sword of their fundamental rights, as blanket permission is being given to collect right from footprint, whatever it is, including biological specimens, constabulary, head constabulary, to even non-judicial officers like IAS, IPS, everyone making fun of the law of the land, wherein the due diligence is required for delegation of duties when it comes to the basic structure of the Constitution. We expect the trial to be done by the court, but it will be much later after all these things. That is the reason why, right from crypto to the criminal bill, the latest criminal 2022, Mr. Ravichandran, along with that, we had wonderful guests like Rajendran ji, Lokesh Babu ji, they were all there. But today, because of various other traveling reasons, we are not able to get hold of the other two guests. But Mr. Ravichandran will not disappoint you, because the topic is as such that the topic is nothing but the Dr. TSPR show ECHO of 31/3/22. March ending, we have done a big show. So this is the show. 30% tax on crypto, no policy. In whose interest? It's a 30% tax on crypto, no policy. In whose interest? This was a big show acclaimed by world at large. Why I'm saying world at large? Because India is still trying to divert, bringing in the criminal identification or criminal procedure bill 2022. Why I had to take that name is, when such a big issue is happening, 30% tax on crypto, no policy, all of a sudden Parliament decides. No political party is discussing this. That means the Swiss bank, black money looted, now will be converted into crypto. That is why the political parties' donations, either NRIs or through the local electoral bonds, they have become opaque. Now you can't source, even RTI, whatever you do, you will not come to know whether BJP, Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, Samajwadi Party, DMK, Communist parties, all other parties, including TRS or YSRCP, which NRI is funding this political party, or which NRI company is funding this political party, you will not come to know. And which corporate company, whether Ambani's or Adani's or someone else, or the other companies you have seen, income tax courts, they have done raids on big companies in Telangana and Andhra, infrastructure companies, 2019, 20, 21, even 22. Those companies' names will not come out. And what if they are funding these political parties? Opaque. Electoral bonds are very opaque. You can't get any information. That way, even corruption can be channeled through this, so that these companies will be let go, because all these political parties have come together. That is the why we have been telling the biggest danger for India. If it is any time, we say this is the time. And that is the reason why, emboldened, they are trying to bring one policy after other without any discussion. Why I said discussion? Panchayat to Lok Sabha, they are all public representatives. In people participating constitutional democracy like India, we expect the discussions to be taking place right from Panchayat, that is the village secretariat, Grama Sabha, then municipalities, municipal corporations, assemblies, then Lok Sabha. But what is happening? Top to down, they are imposing Lok Sabha. All of a sudden, Prime Minister comes and we are done. Corona.
Reddy, your voice is gone. I think you're muted now.
Is it clear now?
Could you check it? Could you
Is it
check
clear
your
now?
mic, please?
Yeah. Is it clear now?
No, I'm not able to hear you. Hello.
Now? Is it clear now?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. No, you remove your earphones, then I think that will be okay for you. Earphones you remove. Earphones you remove, please. Remove your earphones. Remove your earphones. Remove your earphones. Earphones you remove. Kindly remove your earphones, Ravichandran-ji. Yeah, remove them. Remove them. Speak directly. Speak directly now. Is it okay now? There is some technical problem as has been happening with our shows regularly. Is it clear now? Is it clear now?
Yes, now it is clear. Now it is clear.
So this is the technical problem we have been facing as and when we announce something which is very close to the heart of the people. So no discussion from Panchayat to Lok Sabha. All of a sudden crypto imposition. Now when we brought out crypto, live shows with evidences in whose interest this crypto policy, neither common man understands, nor middle income group understands, nor the higher middle class they understand, nor the students or farmers, women, no one understands, but in whose interest? Is it because of converting this all the black money into crypto, because now they have started to fund, and all those corrupt companies which have been caught, are they going to go scot free because of this? This is a big question which is happening. Just to bring it down, because people will start questioning corona, cryptocurrency, farmer strike, and the prices of essential commodities have gone up. They bought criminal procedure identification bill wherein they are trying to threaten. So in this show, Dr. TSPR channel, we said ECHO.EU. Why? Because European Union has come out very clearly. They said no more anonymity or confidentiality regarding cryptocurrency. And there is another big development happening on the war front and the Ukraine front, which is going to challenge the world unipolar world. So that is the reason why this show is going to be of much more importance, and it is creating anxiety amongst all as and when, as soon as we announce the show. Yes, Ravichandran-ji, I'll make you the presenter now, and you can really go ahead as to why unipolar to multipolar, what is going to happen to the major currency, whether it is dollar or euro or whatever it is going to happen, what is going to happen with them in the context of this war, right from Ukraine, Russia to India. Yes, sir, you are the presenter now.
Yeah. You got it? You got it, sir?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Some echo is coming. If you can increase the volume a bit more, nothing like it.
One. Now is it okay?
Now it's okay. But little bit of echo, if you can open one window or something, nothing like it.
I'll do that. So, thank you, Dr. Reddy, for calling me. Earlier, in an earlier show, we had talked about the decline of the dollar and do the sanctions really work, or who the sanctions, what role the sanctions have. So in this edition, what I'm going to talk about is how does the sanctions affect the countries, and which are the countries which are likely to be affected the most. This is the slide that I had shown earlier, which gave the foreign exchange reserves of the top countries and the gold holdings also, and the percentage of gold which was held as foreign exchange. Now, what are the points of concern? Last time I mentioned that the US economy is debt driven and is a consumer based economy. The US inflation rate is something around 7.87% as compared to 1.68% last year. And what is it? Why is the inflation rate at such a high level compared to last year? Is because of the pandemic and because of the Russian-Ukraine war. The US debt as on February 2022 is 30 trillion US dollars, and the GDP of US is somewhere around 25 trillion dollars. The debt is 122% of its GDP, which means roughly it translates to 90,000 to 100,000 US dollars per US citizen. The gold holdings, like I pointed out last time, is technically 8,000 tons, but it has not been audited so far. And most of it is coin melted gold of lower purity than the standard gold. And US economy has been running high budget deficits and high debt to GDP, over the last several years. And these are indications of a faltering economy. If IMF standards were applied to US, then in all probability US is a basket case, like Pakistan. What has the Russian-Ukraine war all about? So let me go back into the politics of it. After USSR was dissolved, Ukraine became independent somewhere around in the 1990s. And most of the Russian, that is the Warsaw Pact countries, like Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and other countries, they split away from the Russian pact and they joined NATO. Ukraine was under Russian influence for till sometime around 2014, when an American-backed revolution took place and the then president of Ukraine was sent away and the current president took over. Now this gentleman has been trying to get into NATO to get a hold of the security from US sponsored NATO. Now, what is NATO? North Atlantic Treaty Organization was originally formed to protect Western Europe from communism or Russia. After the USSR dissolved, this NATO should have also been dissolved, but it still continued because America felt that this was a good occasion to use NATO to push eastwards towards Russia and encircle Russia. Their ultimate aim was to completely destroy Russia. So to this end, they were promoting expansion of NATO to East Europe also, including the Baltic states. Russia objected to it, and in the Minsk agreement, US specifically agreed to stop pushing eastwards. But then when Ukraine applied for NATO membership, without allowing Ukraine to join NATO, America was using Ukraine to tell Russia that we can, if we want, include Ukraine into NATO and threaten you still further. So this is the starting point of the Ukraine-Russian problem. Russia acted immediately and captured Crimea. That was the eastern part of Ukraine, Crimean Peninsula, and now it has entered into Ukraine also, because it was feeling insecure. Because once Ukraine becomes a NATO ally, then US can station nuclear-tipped missiles in Ukraine. This was their biggest worry, and so they acted. Now, we will not go into whether the invasion was correct, not correct, etc. But once Russia invaded Ukraine, America weaponized the status of the dollar and used dollar as a weapon. These sanctions against countries, normally what happens is every country has got foreign exchange reserves, and most of these reserves are denominated in gold, US dollars, and other foreign currencies also, like Chinese yuan or Japanese yen, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, the euro itself, etc. Now, what has happened is the predominant foreign currency used by most of the countries to store their foreign exchange was dollars, because dollar was the reserve currency after 1948. Now, what is the reserve currency? See, the basic, all international transactions are done in a particular currency depending upon whether it is backed by gold, whether it is credibility of the nation that is issuing the country, and so on and so forth. In fact, when you go into the history of these reserve currencies, you will find that the English pound was ruling very strong till about till the end of World War I. After World War I, it slowly started losing its primacy. Now the pound was backed by gold then, and it still continued also. After World War II happened, most of the gold was stored in US, and US was the biggest holder of gold. So what they did was they started using the dollar, the gold-backed dollar, as a reserve currency, and because the US economy was doing very well compared to the other economies, the credibility of the dollar was very high. In the 1970s, when Nixon took over, a lot of gold had been taken away from US to the Europe. And as the gold reserves dwindled in US, Nixon decided that the dollar will no longer be backed by gold, and the concept of petrodollars came into being. That is, oil, the value of oil being connected to the value of dollar. So this is the history of the reserve currency this year. And it continued because there was no other currency which could challenge the dollar till probably around 2005, 2010, when the Chinese economy started booming. Now, what happened was, because the dollar was a reserve currency, borrowing cost for America was very low, and their economy grew because of the lower cost of financing their projects. And most of the companies, because they had deposited their foreign exchange in terms of dollars, America had a very strong hold. If a country did not listen to it, then all that it would do is freeze the dollars. If the dollars are frozen, then the foreign exchange is frozen. This is what happened with Iran. This is what happened with Libya. This is what has happened now with Russia. Now, because of this, and they have sanctioned China also under certain Chinese companies also, which means the dollars held by these companies or these institutions from China, they are no longer available to them for use. Now, there is one thing of threatening to use the dollar as a weapon, and the other thing is to use it as a weapon as such. So today what has happened is, US has gone ahead and sanctioned Russia in a manner which is unprecedented. They have seized roughly around $4,900 billion of Russian foreign exchange, and they are not permitting them to access it. Now, this has sent tremors throughout the world. If Russia can be sanctioned and their foreign exchange can be frozen by the US, what is the guarantee that other countries will not suffer a similar fate? So over the last 2 years, de-dollarization of foreign exchange reserves has taken place, in the sense that those countries which could afford started slowly reducing their dollar commitment and going into gold and other currencies. For example, Russia de-dollarized its economy to a very great extent, to the extent that more than 22% of it is now held in gold or in euros. And the quantum of US dollars held by it has come down. Likewise, China. But the question of China is it holds 1 trillion of its foreign exchange in US treasury bonds or treasury notes. And this is another point of concern. I will come back to that later also. India is also holding a lot of its foreign exchange in dollars, and that the Reserve Bank is slowly coming down from that. Now, all international transactions have been done in dollars so far. You quote in dollars, you receive payment in dollars, and that is converted into your local currency, and then it is used. But because of these sanctions, people were unable, countries like India, China, Iran, they are unable to trade with Russia because of the dollar issue. The dollar has to go the SWIFT system. So what these countries decided now is that they will go in for a national currency to the ruble or national currency to the yuan sort of exchange, rupee ruble, or Chinese yuan ruble exchange. In other words, if you purchase oil from Russia, we will be paying it in rupees. If Russia purchases something from us, they will pay it in rubles. So this is the arrangement that is slowly happening. And it is not limited to just India and China. The BRICS countries, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These 5 countries are now slowly moving to a point where they can create a currency which will be controlled by these 5 countries and be used as a reserve currency instead of the dollar for imports, at least among themselves for a beginning. And over a period of time, as and when more countries start joining in, then that will also be taken into consideration. In all probability, my feeling is, my thinking is that China has accumulated a lot of gold in the last 10, 12 years. Similarly, Russia has also accumulated a large quantity of gold in the last 10 to 12 years. Likewise, India has also accumulated gold, though not officially on a government basis, but a lot of gold has been imported into the country and has been given to as retail sales. So between China, Russia, and India, I think probably they control more than 40 to 45% of the gold reserves of the entire world, which means, and South Africa is a gold producer country, almost on par with China and Russia, which are the 2 largest gold producing countries in the world right now. So, and Brazil, we have not talked about Brazil because the amount of gold that Brazil produces may be low at the present moment, but it has got the potential of becoming one of the larger producers of gold. So, in all probability, if the BRICS countries decide, they can issue a digital currency backed by gold to be used for international transactions. Now, this can be a new currency, or it can also be on the same lines as the SDRs issued by the IMF. It is quite possible that these 5 countries may join together and make the SDR itself as a transacting currency, and accordingly back it by gold, so that it gets some amount of credibility. If that is done, then the dollar will lose its primacy. As it stands in today's market, the dollar has declined in the sense that whereas earlier it was about 75 to 80% of the world's transaction, today it is roughly around 60% of the world's transactions. Similarly, 65% of the world's transactions. Similarly, the foreign exchange reserves held by different countries in dollars has also come down. it has come down to something around 57-58% in the last thing. And if the last quarter is taken into account and the current year also we take into account, there is going to be a substantial decline in the amount of dollars that is being held as reserve currency by other different countries. So this is a point of concern. Now, if that happens, dollar is going in for a big fall. The second problem is what happens to the debts which are held by governments in US Treasury. For example, China is holding $1 trillion worth of debt. Now, suppose China decides to unload this $1 trillion worth of bonds or treasury notes or whatever it is into the market. What will happen? There will be a default because America is in no position to redeem these notes if they come into the market. It is as simple as that. It is an IOU which can go back if China decides to unload it. Yes, China will suffer. There is no doubt about that because 1/3 of its 50% of its foreign exchange will be wiped out if this happens. But if it decides to weaponize that, then America is in for a problem, at least in the short term. Now, what has happened because of these sanctions is we are seeing a peculiar situation now. Russia has now come out and openly said that if you want our gas or oil, you will have to either pay it in rubles or in gold. We will not accept dollars as payment because US has already put sanctions. We are not interested in taking dollars. We are interested only in rubles or gold. One of the NATO countries, Hungary, has accepted the proposal. Germany is still buying gas and oil from Russia, and for that, it is paying in rubles. Similarly, there are other countries in Europe also which are paying in either rubles or gas because without this, their economy will crash, simply crash. And a lot of people will die because of acute cold and heat, non-availability of power. Because most of these 40% of Europe is dependent upon Russian gold and Russian oil and gas. Now, what is the US doing in this? See, this is what is called making money even in a bad situation. Now, US is importing oil from Russia. Please note, US is importing oil from Russia at discounted rates and selling it to Europe at much higher rates. That is, actually, it is profiting from the war. The day Europe realizes that it is being taken for a ride by the Americans, that is when this NATO organization will split apart and probably we may see an end to this war. Today, it is America which is profiting from the sanctions as well as the Russian-Ukrainian war. And when that stops, when the profiting stops, America is going to go in for a recession. I am using the words very with very great emphasis. America could probably go into a recession at the end of this war. That is why it is so frantically trying to see that Russian economy is destroyed at least before its own economy goes into decline. This is the main idea, and that is why Biden is repeatedly increasing the sanctions on Russia. At some point, either the sanctions have to give way or the Russians have to give way. Now it all boils down to that one single factor is Russia going to throw the towel or will America be forced to throw into the towel? And that is why India is in a good place today because it has not sided either with Russia or with America, but it is putting its own national interests first, just like China or just like other countries. Now, Iran has also jumped into the picture, and since they have been victims of this sanction earlier also, Now they have decided that they will go in for real ruble or real yuan exchange for all their purchases and transactions. India is already in the market with rupee ruble arrangement with Russia. China also has got an arrangement with Russia for yuan ruble exchanges. South Africa and Brazil are likely to follow suit because these countries cannot afford the $130, $120 bill on oil, which is constantly increasing. So the net effect of the sanctions is, the net effect of weaponization of the dollar is, at the end of the day, it is America which is going to foot the bill, and whether it will be in a position to do it is now a big question. Actually, the retaliatory measures by China, they have not started it yet, but if they start, then US will be in a big problem. Like I said earlier, America is a debt-driven and a consumer-driven economy. It has a huge current account deficit in the sense that it imports more than it exports. And the difference is paid by these treasury bills which they have printed and sold throughout. And their major market for supplies is from China. And if China decides to download the treasury bills or discard the treasury bills or demand hard currency payment for the imports that they are, for the exports that are doing into US, then US will be in a series of problems. Now, there is an issue for China also, because apart from the $1 trillion bond held by China, China is also holding a lot of sovereign debts by European countries. And because of this Russian-Ukrainian war and the sanctions imposed by China, most of the European economies, which have already suffered due to the COVID pandemic, are now also suffering from these sanctions. And if that continues, then their economies are going into a tailspin. And if any European country defaults on its sovereign debt, it is not that all the NATO European countries are in very solid ground, because we have Greece, Italy, Portugal, all these are almost basket cases. Now, only now they had started to recover, but because of the pandemic, they have again slipped down. And there is nothing much help that Germany can do, because for the last 10 years, they have been supporting all these economies with their economy. And they are also into serious problems because of these sanctions. So effectively what happens is, if one sovereign country in Europe defaults, then there is going to be a domino effect. And if that happens, we can see a repeat of what happened in 2008 when the entire world economy crashed. Are we heading to that point of no return? And if that happens, then the world economy will take a very severe beating. So this is basically what I just wanted to say. Now the other there are other aspects also. Cryptocurrency is one, crypto tokens or cryptocurrency is one area which was thought could replace the dollar as a reserve currency. But there are issues in cryptocurrency also. The first thing was anonymity. Now European Parliament has come up with a proposal by which they can they are indicating that if cryptocurrencies are to be accepted in Europe, then they should become more transparent in the sense that the anonymity should not be there. If that happens, then cryptocurrency will lose its unique selling proposal, and the cryptocurrency market will definitely collapse in that case, because the unique selling proposal of cryptocurrency was anonymity. If that is removed, then there is nothing there in that. It is not even sovereign backed. That is, it is not backed by any government. So in that case, the cryptocurrency will take a hit and it cannot be used as a reserve currency. The second issue is the number of cryptocurrencies that are floating around in the world. At the last count, it was 7,000 currencies plus. 7,000 currencies plus, backed by whom? Backed by individuals. Has it got any intrinsic value? No. As long as people buy it, there is a value. If people start selling it, the values will crash. It is just a demand-supply situation. As long as there is faith in the currency, people will buy. As long as people buy, the value will go up. The day people lose faith in it, they will start selling it, and if they start selling it, the values will crash. Acceptability will become lower, and it will have a geometric effect because one feeds on the other. Loss of faith, selling. These feed on other by reducing its value. If that happens, then cryptocurrency is also going in for a hard landing. Having said this, then what is the way out of this situation? The only way out is what the BRICS company come together and issue a currency which is multipolar in nature, which is not dependent upon any one country, which can say either you follow what I say or I will impose sanctions on you. This is a huge weapon that America should not have used at this stage, at least against Russia, because they did it without understanding, without considering the ability of the Russians to meet such challenges. This is, if they had read Russian history, they would have known that when the situation becomes very bleak or when the situation becomes very hard, the Russians stand up and fight together. This is a lesson in Russian history, which I don't think any American policy maker even thought about. And Russian history is replete with such examples. Each time they were beaten down, each time they got up, fought back, and came out successful. Whether it was against Napoleon in the 1800s, whether it was against the Germans in the First World War, whether it was against the once again the Germans in the Second World War, each time they have come out successful. And even now, after the dissolution of the USSR, yet even despite all the reverses, they have still managed to come back and become the second or third largest power in the world as far as military power is concerned, as far as resources are concerned. And fourth point is, Russia has got a huge hinterland in Siberia where the resources are still, people still don't know what resources are available in Siberia. Definitely gold is there, definitely oil is there. And with these two, the Russians can always challenge any country, including America, on the economic front also. It may take time, they may have reversals initially, but at the end of the day, they will definitely succeed. And this is a lesson for India too. Today, India has facing, apart from what the sanctions that America has imposed on Russia about oil and all that, now India has got two big economies, Pakistan and China, on its borders, and both of these are economically bankrupt countries. India is supporting Sri Lanka. Probably at some stage, Pakistan may also have to apply for aid to India because China is not coming forward to help them. In fact, they are asking them for the repayment of the loans that have fallen due to the extent of, I think, around $500 million or about $1 billion, which is falling due before 23. And that the Chinese have clearly said that you have to return. Now, we don't know whether Pakistan is going to surrender some of its territory to China or make some other arrangement, but I view that at some stage, Pakistan will realize that it is better to go along with India than to go along with China or America. America has been proved unreliable. China, for China, China is a Shylock country. What it invests, it wants to get its returns. So in that scenario, I think probably India may have to manage the Sri Lankan as well as the Pakistani economy, and that is where an opportunity also lies for us to get our political act in order. I do hope that the government is also seized of these issues. So, Dr. Reddy, if you have got any other questions, I can continue.
Wonderful. Some echo, I don't know why this echo has been happening continuously, but I did not disturb you because of the interest, keen interest the viewers would have. But that echoing part, I think if you can just correct it, nothing like it. And the most important aspect, now what would happen to India? 30% crypto, 30% tax on cryptocurrencies, what is going to happen? And how Indians will be prepared now after the Sri Lankan fiasco and Pakistan next in suit. We don't know what is the condition with Nepal in and around. And Afghanistan, you have seen India was investing. How do you look at the scenario of India then? And after Corona, now you have seen the prices are skyrocketing. 90 rupees oil, now it is 220 rupees. Pulses, rice, farmers are not benefiting. That the farmers who are growing, they are not getting benefited again. Neither farmers or end users, consumers are benefiting. And see, diesel 100 crossed, petrol 100 crossed, gas 1000 crossed. What is this nonsense going on in India? How do you look at this Indian scenario then?
Nepal, yes, what you said was correct. In fact, I left out Nepal. Nepal is also groaning under an economic situation, not of its making because of Chinese loans. Probably India will have to go to the help of Nepal also. But I look at it as an opportunity. Economic problems in the neighborhood, I look at it as an opportunity for India to reassert its basically, compared to the other countries, Indian economy is doing reasonably well despite Nirmala Sitharaman. It is because of the intrinsic, what I should say is austerity of the Indian people that the economy is going. It is not because of the economic policies of the government. Economic policies of the government are just on paper. It does not help anybody. And most of these policies that they are forming are based on data which is as old as 2016, 2017. For 5-year-old data based policies is not going to work out. Of course, the government may pat itself on its back saying that inflation is controlled, it is this thing, that thing, and all that. But again, inflation, inflation, of course, I can also manipulate figures and say that inflation is high. It was not low. The very fact that when the government says that inflation has been fixed at 4%, which means today petrol price and diesel prices are exceeding 100 rupees, 110 rupees. Then how can inflation be controlled? Because without diesel, without petrol, there can be no transport. And the transporters are growing. The transport costs have gone up. Farmers have to spend more for diesel to run their engines because there is a power cut. And incidentally, again, two or three instances which I should bring to your notice. One, you have already been talking about this corona fiasco, saying that this is all bluff and all that. Recently, some 1,000 documents were released by FDA, that is the Federal Drug Agency of America, in which they have clearly mentioned that Pfizer has deliberately suppressed information that the body is immune, naturally immune to coronavirus.
My God, big. That I think we are going to have a special show with you on that. That is a big issue. That
1,000 documents have been released under Right to Information Act, in which it has been clearly shown that Pfizer has suppressed information about the immunity of the human body to coronavirus, which means are these vaccines just to take money out of the people?
Now here is a big question. India 30,000 crores and more of this during this economic crisis they have invested on vaccines, and that too unproved, under trial, no liability and compensation. Indian government has to answer now. Even all the political parties, no, there is no clue. They were all promoting. If Modi says something, Rahul Gandhi says will say something. Aam Aadmi Party Kejriwal will say something, and all other will follow, like masking themselves, and they are big actors better than Bollywood actors. So how can this would affect Indian economy now?
No, see, this is one thing. Now, what is, if this is the case, that the body of, see, probably in the early days of the coronavirus also, I had my own things, because if you had seen the incidence of coronavirus over the geographical locations.
There is echoing, sir. Echoing of your, I don't know why. Lot of echo. The sound is not trying to be clear.
Maybe if I try the earphones, I can think, but the earphones are not better. I don't know.
Voice has become suddenly low and. Can you speak? No, there's no audio. Video is there, no audio. There's some problem. Okay, just we'll switch off to that mode itself. No, I can't. Yeah, now you speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think this is better. Oh, it's gone again. It's gone, it's gone. No audio. Yeah. Again, it's gone. Audio gone. This should become green. I don't know why it has suddenly. So big statement from Mr. Ravichandran-ji. India will also have to pay the price for. It is not because of the Indian economy or the ministry policy, but the austerity measures of the Indians, which is bailing them out. But for how long? Yes, sir.
So this suddenly I had a problem with the mic. Okay, now it is not an issue. See, we even at the beginning of COVID, if you see, there was a geographical location. Incidences of COVID was not very high in certain geographical locations. The incidence of COVID was high where the temperatures was less than 25 degrees.
Yeah.
And there was a humid conditions also. For example, if you sit in an AC room, then the possibility of contracting COVID was much higher. That is, infections was much higher there. But if you were in the open, then the incidence of corona infection spreading was much lower. This is one thing. Then the second thing was the immunity of the body. For people who were exposed to a lot of sunlight, like for example, the African countries, or even India for that matter, that is South India, and in other areas also, the atmospheric conditions was hot, where it is more than 25 degrees, 30 degrees, then the spread of COVID was also very low. Where people gathered together, where AC usage was high in the metros, in the cities, there the infection rate was high. We didn't see the same level of infections in the rural areas.
Right.
If you see that most of the deaths that were occurring was all in the cities and metros.
Also we are, even Ravichandran-ji, the deaths also we'll discuss on that. We'll come exclusively. We have so many doubts. As a man with understanding of science, where is the postmortem or autopsy report to confirm? We can label them as maybe because of drug trials or other comorbid. That will come back to. But how can now India ignore this? Indians slowly but surely, unwantedly, unwittingly invested huge money on corona mandates, and that too without of any help, as you are rightly pointing out, without of any help. Now they have invested so many crores, and you see Padma Bhushan has been given to manufacturers of vaccine, Covaxin and Covishield, as if they have donated the technology, they have done the free service. And not only that, cow blood is there in Covaxin and Chimpanzee cells in Covishield. Why government is not coming out clear? Courts also surprising. Supreme Court to High Court. Why they don't spell out what are the contents in the vaccine? Now see booster again drama. But they want to fix on naturopathy and Ayurveda. What ingredients are there? So how courts have become so ambiguous, law enforcing. Now in this context, such huge money going in the name of Corona. Don't you think even this is going to belittle India's progress in the economic front in case of war or whatever things, this crisis of weaponization of currency?
This is an interesting question, Dr. Reddy. My feeling is pharma companies have invested heavily. Allopathic pharma companies have invested heavily in subverting, number one, subverting governments, influencing public opinion. That is the second thing. And the third thing, trying to push their products which are overpriced. Now, for example, China is using traditional medicines to treat corona. China is using traditional medicines to treat corona.
While selling their vaccines, their vaccines to other countries.
Other countries. Inside China, it is traditional medicines which are being used to treat people. I think the government made probably due to ignorance or probably due to a fear that of an unknown this thing, or probably because they were also influenced by these pharma companies. If only they had spent a fraction of the money that has been spent on vaccines, on native medicines, Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha, or homeopathy also, I think probably would have done the entire job at a much lower cost.
Much lower cost, and
Much
that has really
lower
screwed up our economy. Much bad.
Yes.
Even now, court passed orders also in Andhra Pradesh High Court. The police, they are not allowing them to practice Ayurveda. Even when people wanted that, see, the beauty of this is when people wanted Ananda's Ayurveda, Corona medicine, or other NISA or other medicines, they have proved also. Government is not encouraging. The law and order agencies are not encouraging. Local state governments not encouraging. All political parties not familiarizing it. See, that means that's what I have told you. NRI fundings and electoral bonds have become opaque. That means no one can source the political parties' funding. That is why these political parties at the cost of public suffering, and now this economy. And now what is going to be the fate? Now when gold becomes an yardstick, how can Indian rupee is going to fare?
See, as far as the Indian economy is concerned, we are holding some of the largest reserves of gold, even though the government does not have it by itself. The people are holding the gold. So that is one of the strengths of the Indian economy. That is why, despite all the economic hang-ups and this thing, India is still surviving, whereas other companies have collapsed. This is the intrinsic strength of the Indian people. Like I said, finance ministers may come and finance ministers may go, but the economy is surviving because of the Indian people. And whatever is thrown at them, they know how to take care of it. Indian savings rate, our joint family system was one of the bulwarks of social security. The Indian community was not dependent upon the government for its survival, but it was dependent upon the joint family system. This joint family system was broken up by the government, and today we are paying the price for it. We are heavily paying the price for it. Now we will go back to that old system of joint families and no more nuclear families and all that. But still, what you said was correct. If people in India depend on gold, they would rather prefer it to invest it in gold rather than keep it in cash. They will invest it in land rather than keep it as cash. They will invest it in some business instead of keeping it as cash. And that is the strength of the Indian economy. So even if the worst coming to worst, Indian economy will not crash, provided the government does not do anything stupid.
Provided government doesn't do anything stupid. And this 30% tax on crypto in the wake of EU, European Union, it is going to disband anonymity and confidentiality clause.
But even if it disabuses anonymity in European Union, how does it benefit India? Actually, as far as the Indian government is concerned, this is a voluntary disclosure scheme on an unsustainable basis. You make your money, you make your black money and pay 30% of it and go.
That means it can be a arms money or drugs money, anything.
Anything. It can be anything.
Don't you think it is going to destroy the health, and also these people are going to control now the political system from tomorrow?
See, India is too big a country, too diverse a country, too many people around. It will be very difficult for them, for any single individual or single group of individuals to control this country.
But they have shown it during COVID, no? That same fear psychosis, again they are seeing booster. Now slowly they are working out. See, 30% tax, and immediately they bring out amendment to Criminal Procedure Act. That means no one should protest. What I am trying to see, they are trying to create that uncertainty, that ambiguity, that anonymity, that way they are creating fear psychosis. And one side, 30% tax on black money. Now that black money will fund all political parties. They will all become one. And here people, if they question, they will use this new law. How do you look at this scenario? And in case of BRICS happening, BRICS becoming a new currency, how it is going to immediately affect dollar, and how it is going to change our economic pattern? And because of these 30% tax on crypto, already Indian Parliament, I think whether they have done a good thing or right thing, if BRICS comes out with a new currency, I think Indian government has to say a lot.
Yeah, it will have to say a lot. But you see the strength. What is our strength? We have been trading for the last 3,000, 4,000 years. Even before the English people were thinking of trading, we were doing trading for the last 3,000, 4,000 years back. People from India have been trading not only within the country, they have been going abroad also and trading with Rome, with Southeast Asian countries, with China. So we are good traders, no matter who the government is. I am optimistic that the people will take care of any such misadventures by the government. Even
but
today,
this law, which is the new law, which we have already dealt it, don't you think it is going to push them back with that fear psychosis being created?
See, one thing that the government is failing to understand is, I have written about this in my book also, Right to Privacy. You cannot have this standardized system of privacy throughout the world. Privacy means different things to different cultures. It is culture dependent, it is geographical dependent, it is economical dependent, and there are several other factors also. Now, if you are in, say, England, and you meet a person on the bus, what is it that you are going to talk? You are going to talk about the weather, maybe. Beyond that, you can't ask anything. It will become personal. But in India, if you sit down at Hyderabad, and by the time you come to Chennai, the person opposite to you, you know his family background, you know how many daughters he has to get married off, or how many sons he has to get married off, what is his income, where he has got his property. So we are open. Okay. So if you want to take my biological samples, please go ahead and take it. And you check me. Like I said earlier, every year I can go to the police station and book myself under some act and ask them to do me a medical checkup. Basically, this is what they're doing. And tell them, if you find anything wrong, please let me know so that I can take some medicines for that.
Okay. And then, last but the least, after the DRTSPR show ECHO, European Union has fallen flat now. It's going to remove that anonymity and confidentiality clause. Now India, 30% tax. Indians are always, and they don't even bother to respond. No political party talks about, and because it is not concerned with common man. Common man, legal tenders rupee. If it is hard earnings, if the savings are going to be taken away that way, do you think this is not going to generate again the divide between rich and poor? Is it not going to increase? And then BRICS new currency. How is it going to help this BRICS and then the world order? Is it going to sustain multipolar world, multipolar currencies, multipolar world? wherein even India should find its place. Having everyone is saying Sri Lanka 95% they have borrowed, India at 85% their borrowings. Next in staring into such conditions like in Sri Lanka, because we don't know. I have to discuss Sri Lanka in thread and bear then later on shows. A passing comment, sir, before we say bye.
Okay. Now, as far as India is concerned, if the multipolar governed currency comes through, then India will be benefited. We will no longer be dependent upon the dollar, which means we can monetize whatever gold holdings that we have and use that to increase our strength economically. That is one thing. And second thing is, forget about savings. Now everybody is on a borrowing spree. Now it is not, you have money, you invest it in land and borrow some money for your regular income. That's it. And nobody bothers about repaying it also, because once in 5 years, the government comes and says all loans are waived off. So people have also become very wise. So in that aspect, if you see, you borrow money, buy gold, buy land and keep quiet. After 5 years, the government will say this is all waived off. Fine. I get my property intact. Like I said, the intrinsic strength of the people of India is the main strength. We are not dependent upon government policies or government rules or government mandates. It is not. It will affect us, no doubt, but not to the extent that we think that it will affect. That is my thing. I am very optimistic about the Indian people, not about the government. Today, if the economy is doing well, it is in spite of Nirmala Sitharaman and not because of her. That is all that I want to say. And in spite of any other finance minister for that.
Any other finance minister for that. India is doing well because of the intrinsic strength of the people of India. I salute Indian people. And then the BRICS, new currency, and is it going to send shivers down the spine of those unipolar and the corona backers, the corona creators?
Yes. It is going to send shivers around the rest of the developed world, because everyone is dependent upon US this thing. That is why today US is frantically trying to see that Russia loses the war in Ukraine. It is only because of that they want Russia to lose. Because if these sanctions carry on for another 6 months or 1 year, then we can see that today American economy is 7%, 8% is the inflation rate in the US, unheard of. Last year it was just 1.68%. This year it is almost around 8%. And if this dollar BRICS thing comes through, then the interest rates for American citizens will go up, because it is a consumer driven, it is debt driven. There they use only credit cards. They spend money which they are planning to earn at a later date. That is the issue. Oh, the BRICS comes in, yes, it is going to be a problem. America is going to face a big problem.
In such a scenario, the COVID manipulators, including pandemic manipulators, World Health Organization, World Economic Forum, or World Trade Organization, whoever it is, they are pumping money for the sake of vaccines and all that nonsense. In doing so, they are trying to destroy the health of the people there. And now, if BRICS happen, one shot, so many birds.
It will happen. That will also happen. See, we are going in for a complete changeover of the world order. United Nations itself will face a change. And if United Nations gets the change, then it is going to benefit everybody. Because only now 5 countries are controlling United Nations. If it becomes a multipolar world, then more and more number of people will start dictating terms. Once that happens, then it will be good.
Now we are going to, so you are sure that BRICS, new currency backed by gold, because you say India, China, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, you mean to say 60% of the gold reserves are with these countries?
Yes.
Any currency which is backed by gold is going to rule the world.
That will rule the world.
I hope this is very clear to Americans and those pandemic creators. That is how they have destroyed their own, because we call autolysis in medical language. You are trying to threaten the world. You are trying to create more and more fear and panic. because of one lane headliners, which I've never seen in my journalism. All channels since yesterday also, again, booster. Expert. Who is that expert? I'm demanding them. Even courts we have been demanding. Where is the autopsy postmortem report? What were the drugs given? Why were the drugs given? And why no liability and compensation? Why are you paying my money to? So this is all leading to economic sham. And if BRICS happens, believe me, this is going to destroy all those who have been preaching and trying with those 1% of those elite who want to try to control the world. I think they are going to be at a losing percentage now. More and more would add to that percentage, because it will be, if it is multipolar, it will be people's will, the intrinsic people of India, which is the main strength. At least here, Modi, after he lost good friend Trump, since then he was trying to turn a blind eye towards America because of Biden administration, because he wholeheartedly, openly supported Trump. Now for him, Russian war, Ukrainian war is going to be a blessing in disguise. At least now, though under pressure, and I hope similarly he will not cave into World Health Organization and WTO, WEF by forcing people to go for vaccines. Instead, indigenous Ayurveda, naturopathy, and all other forms of medicine, you should develop boosters. They have asked them to shut up, because already you have spent more than 40-50,000 of crores of public money. That is huge now. In times of economic crisis, it is very huge. BJP, NDA, along with all the political parties, should discuss it on the floor of the parliament. Every assembly in every state should discuss why they kept quiet. Why they kept quiet when you have all the alternate methods doing much better. Your kitchen, including your kitchen, is your own natural traditional medicine, right from salt, turmeric, what should I say, ginger. What China is doing, why China did not come out, how they suppressed Wuhan. Now, whatever it is trying to do, trying to create another panic, testing of another 5G or whatever it is, but they are not borrowing anything from externally. Medications or in the form of prevention, spending huge money. Even if BRICS happens, because of the internal debts and also many things, China may have to lose, but I think they may say yes, instead of being imposition or second allied to someone, let me lose and gain, because there is no democracy there. There is only autocracy. They will suppress every fundamental right. But India, being intrinsic strength of the people, in spite of the finance minister or government, whether it is there or not, how they have merged banks and all, we'll come back to that later. Public sector units will take up that matter later. But for here, the intrinsic strength of the people of India is the lone saving grace of this serious economic crisis engulfing in and around. Even the neighbors are suffering, and we say, when neighbors suffer, dash dash, we envy the pride. What is that pride? Is it going to be BRICS, new currency backed by gold? We will wait and see, as we have already predicted before. What will happen to cryptocurrency? We said that is why DRTSPR channels ECHO, European Union said no more anonymity, no more confidentiality. It is not backed by any sovereign. No country is backing it. It is not a legal tendered currency. It is just individualistic. Indians were worried. Likewise, many other countries, hard-earning people. How is that this crypto overnight, these black money being invested, they are becoming neo-rich and they are funding all political parties. One go, when European Union started, Indian government, that 30% tax will have to go, or else they have to prove to the world that this is not dirty money, illegal money from arms or drugs, or for that matter, siphoned away. Last time, Ravichandran has shown you how Indian money is siphoned away to Mauritius and everywhere. I mean, to other countries. Again, through Mauritius, it is going to come back. When they went for such one small room, many shell companies. It is all in the record. So we want people to become informed, truly informed, so that this economy, this money, and this future is ours, because we are a constitutional authority. And I only hope BRICS, new currency backed by gold, is it going to be the saving grace, and is it going to be a multipolar world wherein it will be the will of the people which is going to win? And that is how it should be in any democracy, in any people participatory constitutional democracy. It should be the will of the people which should win. Thank you, sir. Take care. And for all the Indians, Sukhanidra, Shubharatri, I hope we have given you a lot of information. Ukraine war end, what is happening, everything is clear. For the world over, it is not going to be that good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If still you are trying to trade with dollar, because BRICS in new currency backed by gold, 60% of gold is going to be there with these countries. What will you do next? See you with another topic. Bye, sir.